Dan O'Brien.
There's some added intrigue tonight in that there are two Dan O'Briens on stage right now. I kid you not, this is a fantastic actor named Dan O'Brien. He's been haunting my life for like the last 15 years. We're about the same age, more or less. And we were with the same agency. He's an actor, fantastic actor, in New York, and he would occasionally get my very, very, very small royalty checks by mistake.
Like $1,000.
No. Well, then you owe me some money. And I was hearing about this fantastic actor, and then, and you may, if people have ever watched Whitney, is probably his most well-known show on NBC. He was one of the leads on Whitney. And a great show called Delocated, where he played a character named Lon. Anybody see Delocated? I can't. Just to pump him up. So this is Dan O'Brien. He's married to a fantastic playwright who's here, Julie Shavers. So, and I couldn't resist because I'm going to read more of my memoir play. So if you've been here before, other summers, you can leave now because I'm sure you're bored of it, in which there are two actors who sometimes play Dan O'Brien at the same time. So we're getting really meta here. This is post-modern. So it's a two-character play, but there are many characters. Dan O'Brien 1 is often just Dan O'Brien. Sometimes he's somebody else. And Dan O'Brien 2 is either his alter ego or this is a memoir play, so it's all based on audio recordings I made of estranged relatives of mine who I tracked down the last few years to basically ask, like, hey, why is my family so fucked up? And because I haven't spoken to my parents in 10 years, and this play gets into it to some degree. So I'll be playing most of my relatives, just to make it a little bit more confusing. So Dan O'Brien, relatives.
Dan O'Brien.
Thank you again to Wyatt, to Adam, to Megan, to the staff. This is my 8th summer here. I'm aging rapidly. I'm so happy to be here, to be around other writers. I write poetry too. For better or for worse, I wouldn't write poetry if I wasn't around poets for these 12 days every summer, as well as fiction writers. I'm not fictionistas. And as someone who's sort of pathologically afraid of families, this is the one place that I felt like I've had a family that has been so meaningful to me. So I'm so happy to be back, always inspired by all of the writers here. I may fast forward if this is too long. I'm worried it is. My first night here, somebody said, a local in Sewanee said, "You talk fast." So just a warning, the play's very fast. It's very New York, where I'm from. The place called Scarsdale, where I grew up, which is a suburb of New York, in some ways a kind of famous suburb of New York, infamous suburb of New York. Great. Questions? Okay. So we're going to read the very first prologue and then skip to about halfway through the play. There's a little short prologue. There's scene titles. It's called "What Has He Given You?"
The first thing I remember, I'm looking up at his face.
Sunlight in the windows.
I'm playing on the floor.
The whole family's sleeping still.
My father's younger brother is sitting beside the window looking down at me, smiling.
The long black beard and heavy black framed glasses. He looks like a hobo or a poet.
He gives me a children's Bible.
No, he's giving you something else.
Some other kind of gift. What is he giving me?
What has he given you?
Before he walks out the door.
Scene 7. I'm going to throw in a few set descriptions as we go. Hopefully it makes sense. Scene 7, raccoons like brothers.
What am I looking at here?
Computer servers. The red lines are the phone lines, and the blue ones are for data.
It's loud.
What?
I said it's loud.
It's the cooling fans.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to see my new apartment?
Oh, okay.
Come on, I'll give you a ride. They get in a small car. Yeah, in my new car.
So you'll be staying here for Thanksgiving?
Well, Friday I have to take off, so I know I'm going to get like real bored real quick. But it's kind of nice to just, relax and play Warcraft and stuff. Or I just do those marathons they have on TV all day.
Do you get in the city ever?
Well, I haven't been in the city in years. Too many people.
And do you ever, just roll by the old house?
What? Why?
To see what's changed?
How about you?
I'm thinking about going today, but I'm worried the neighbors are going to think I'm like some child molester or something. Do you... Do you ever get pressure to, I don't know, go visit our parents in Virginia?
How about you?
Well, you know what happened, right?
What happened?
They didn't come to our wedding.
Why not?
She hadn't told you any of this?
No.
I didn't know if you were back in touch with our parents.
Oh,
or
well,
not.
6 years ago, I tried to kill myself again.
Okay, I think I knew that.
Right, and for the next couple of years, I tried all kinds of medication in the hospital. In the hospital, the last time I was hallucinating.
From the medication?
Now they're in a small elevator. From withdrawal symptoms from this drug that wasn't working well for me, press 6, please.
Because I'm taking Zoloft for anxiety, you know, like obsessions.
I tried Zoloft, but I'm on Celexa, Demirog, 2 milligrams of Xanax, which I like.
That's good.
Yeah, even though it gives me like this dry mouth, it's made me gain all this weight.
The point is everyone needs to figure out which drugs work best for them.
Yeah, it's not anything to be ashamed of.
I know.
Everyone at work knows. My friends, I've had the same job for 20 years.
After you.
They're in a small hallway now. Well, I was going to say that I was in outpatient treatment. The doctors told me it's important to construct for yourself like a support network.
Sure.
So I called Mom and basically just mended fences with her.
Wow.
And now we'll email maybe once or twice a year. Like Christmas, birthdays, but Mom and Dad never invite me down to visit them, and I'll never invite myself. Okay, this lock sticks sometimes, and voila, welcome to my they're in a small apartment. I don't have much stuff yet, but it's real pretty when the leaves are still on the trees.
It's a pretty neighborhood.
Yeah, at night you hear the Metro North swoosh by, but you get used to it. Careful, the paint is still wet, I think. Yeah.
Did you paint this yourself? Or?
No, Jocelino helped me pick out the color in the bedroom, which I really like.
Who's Jocelino?
Well, he's calling me now. Hey, Jocelino, how's it going? Yeah, good. Just stopped by to show my brother the apartment. No, it's good. It looks really good. Yeah, we're gonna go get some lunch. All right, bye now, Jocelino.
Who's Jocelino?
Oh, he's a friend, a neighbor. He's a painter.
Paul.
They're in the diner now.
Why don't you order first?
May I please have the French toast, 2 eggs scrambled with a side of bacon, crispy. Thank you.
And give me an Amstel Light and a veggie burger deluxe. So this is nice. This is more than I think we ever talked, like, since we were kids.
I don't think we ever talked then either.
I think I used to think you hated me.
Oh, yeah?
Because I was... Because I was like the golden boy, or thought I was, and you weren't. Like, I remember listening to your footsteps over my head in your room in the attic, or walking downstairs in the middle of the night, and I was sure you were going to kill us all while we slept. Or,
Yes.
or how you'd sit at the dining room table watching us just like we made you sick.
I just hated living there, that's all.
You know, I used to steal your porno mags.
I knew that!
While you were in the shower or outside mowing the lawn, I'd sneak into your room and poke around. All those piles of dirty laundry, all your junk food wrappers, science fiction books. I don't know what I was looking for, really, aside from the pornography.
Oh, and another reason I hate our parents is they don't have boundaries.
Absolutely. So, like, I emailed. I've been researching our family because I decided to write about our family secrets.
Well, there were a lot of them.
Like what?
Well, I remember this one time Mom had been angry at Dad, and she told me, "Who do you think pays for this family? Your father's been unemployed for years now." And I'm thinking, savings, right? They must have some savings saved up somewhere, right? And then she tells me, "My father gives me stock in his company, and I sell it because your father makes me." But she's shouting, "I am the breadwinner of this family." And this was like when I was really small, and it was like so vicious. I felt sad for Dad.
Well, she used us like a spouse.
Oh, yeah.
Against him.
Exactly.
Against each other, too. It was incestuous in a way.
And remember the raccoons?
Oh, sure.
because that night Mom was telling us, don't go in the kitchen. Your father is sitting at the breakfast table cleaning his rifle.
Like he's going to execute every raccoon in the neighborhood. Like word's going to get out. No raccoon's safe in the O'Brien's backyard.
Because each night they'd slip through the fence and come scurrying down the trail. They'd warn in the grass and ripping the lids off our garbage cans and drag out all our dirty diapers and the chicken carcasses and maxi pads.
Dad's condom wrappers.
And the next morning, everything's strewn out all over the yard. These red piles of like scat, flies buzzing. You pick up some rice with your bare hands and you'd feel the rice moving because they were maggots.
It was my job to clean it up.
No, well, don't know. It was my job.
Are you sure?
First, yeah. I was, yes. I was thinking maybe Dad's trying to do me a favor by taking out these raccoons.
Who knows what he was ever thinking?
Because the next day he wakes me up and says, get dressed and go to the garage for a baseball bat, then come to the backyard. And I'm like, this is not good. Just not good. But you know, he's like our father, so this is serious business. So I grab the bat and I run to the backyard where I see this family of raccoons just slaughtered. He'd shot them all during the night and thought he'd killed them all, but in the morning saw a few were breathing in the grass, paralyzed. He was afraid our neighbors would hear the gunshots during breakfast, and I don't know if he couldn't do it himself or if he wanted to teach me a lesson, but he said I should do the bludgeoning. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
How old were you?
So he takes the bat and he pulls it up over his head like this, like he'll just, hatchet it down. But he misses. Just hits the dirt.
Was it still moving or twitching?
It was like coughing. It was choking on blood. And I remember one was just this baby looking at me and as he flattened its head. And then we buried them in the yard next to that Mormon family, the Simmons. And then we covered it all up with the wood pile.
Such an obvious metaphor.
I know. They couldn't even construct a raccoon-proof garbage system. So his solution was to just sit there like Lee Harvey Oswald. Whenever I tell Jocelino this story, he just laughs and laughs.
It's funny because I remember it like it was me in the backyard with Dad. I remember him raising our Louisville Slugger above his head, and I remember burying the raccoons.
Right, with that old wheelbarrow.
Under this blooming red azalea bush, and how they smelled like wet dogs, and their blood looked like jelly. I don't remember you there at all. What I remember is Mom telling me we had to take this secret to our graves, which is the exact same thing she said to me the night after you tried to kill yourself. We were in the attic at the top of the stairs near the window you jumped from. I'd shown her the note you'd left that said, Dear Mom, looks like you'll get the playroom you've always wanted, which meant your bedroom could become a playroom for the younger kids. And she cried in my arms while I was holding her up, and she said, this is a secret we must take with us to our graves. It's so strange you remember a family of raccoons. I remember 2 raccoons, like brothers. Now, I need to hear every story.
No, I tried to block most of it out.
I'll have a skim latte, please. Do you want anything else, Paul?
What about Uncle Brian?
What about him?
Remember how he left and disappeared?
I know. It's my earliest memory. I was 3. I can still see him looking down at me with those thick glasses and that long hair and long beard like Jesus or Allen Ginsberg.
Brian said goodbye to me.
No.
No. I used to wake up before everyone else, and Brian was packing, and I asked him to play Chinese checkers with me, but then he just walked out the door.
You sure?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going crazy like everyone else in our family.
Well, we always thought there was something wrong with you.
Like what?
Well, you didn't belong, and Dad hated you the most.
That reminds me, Paul. Ever since I broke with our parents, I've been haunted by this feeling that maybe there's something that could explain all this, and suddenly I had this epiphany, or maybe it's more like a repressed memory. What if Uncle Brian is my father?
Uncle what? Brian?
It makes a certain kind of sense if you think about it. She's stuck at home with 3 kids already, with a husband she hates and hates her, whose younger brother is taller, smarter, funnier, who lives in the neighborhood, with his mother, but he's still young and passionate, protesting the bombing of Cambodia, reading Marshall McLuhan, noodling his guitar, transcribing Neruda poems. All it takes is one afternoon.
That would be awesome if it's true.
Yeah,
I should get back to work.
right. Let me get the check.
You're the guest.
I invited you, Paul.
Yeah, but I'm the older brother.
Thank you. And congratulations on the new apartment, by the way, because you seem good. You seem happy. I hope you know that you can always call me if you need anything, okay?
Well, I meant to say he called me once, Brian.
When?
20 years ago. I was living at home still. I don't know where you all were, but Brian was like really, really drunk and kept saying he was sorry.
For what?
He didn't say. I don't remember. Because he was slurring his speech and calling me Danny.
Why didn't you ever tell me?
Well, I don't think we were actually talking then.
Did he say where he was?
Florida, maybe? Building movie theaters for Lowe's or something. He kept rambling on and on and on, and eventually he started to cry, so I just hung up on him. Okay, you need a ride back to the station?
I'm going to take a walk by the old house today. I'll let you know if things look different.
Scene 8, Dead Ends. Did you go there, Dan?
You went with me, Dan.
What happened?
We walked down the dead-end street looking
For what?
like a schizophrenic sulking in the cul-de-sac, skunk cabbage and wild grapevines.
Scrub oak and mud-soft weeds we used to call a swamp.
That brook seething with broken bottle glass and rotting leaves, a rusted car battery.
What did we find there?
A haunted house, smaller. The grass is greener than it was. The dogwood is pink and, of course, taller.
This is not the house. This has never been the house.
And then where do we go?
Aldridge, above the thrumming parkway, the highest hill in the county with a view of the sound beyond.
Gardeners with leaf blowers tumbling furious waves of plum and gold down to the curbside.
Chain link fence girds the acreage now. This gate is all that's left.
With oxidized pikes rising up with words wrought in iron reading like the entrance to Dachau or Hades. Aldridge.
Aldridge was, this is not in the script, Aldridge was the mansion in Scarsdale where my mother grew up. And there's earlier scenes about that. Stooping to peer through this shifting barrow of branches.
I'm straining to imagine the house as it was when my mother was only a girl.
And you can't help but feel you were right. You know you've always been right about her, and you know you'll never know if it's true.
The brick house sprawls. Twin lions posed in marble, sandstone steps, antique cars line the driveway.
The glass of the greenhouse smears the fire of a November sunset artfully.
Somebody else lives here now.
Who could possibly live here now?
Should I ring the bell? Could I just walk inside and see her, pausing in a blue party dress at the bottom of the stairs to the rooms no one's allowed into?
You'll never know how bad it was for me.
I know I'm right. I've always known the truth.
A Dalmatian swivels its ears and leaps, racing across the luxurious lawn, barking.
I turn tail and run for my train, laughing.
So tell me what's wrong.
I don't know who to reach out to
You'll
next.
always have me.
But no one else wants to talk to me.
Why do you want to talk to them then?
Because I've hit a dead end and I've got to find the truth.
And to find the truth, you've got to ask people questions.
And people have to answer them.
So who do you want to talk to still? Who is it that could answer all this for you? Let's do this thing.
I called a guy on Cahuenga Boulevard.
You want to go off the grid, you can, but it's never easy. E.g., no credit cards, no cell phones, no address or medical records. Cash is king. Wives call me up all the time saying, Adam, my husband's cheating. Can you surveil him, please? And I'm like, ma'am, surveillance costs you like $200 an hour. Might I suggest you go online and look at his statements? Because invariably there's flowers, restaurants that are inappropriate for business lunches, shit like that. It's like, how stupid can these fucks be? I like to tell the men, go find yourself a woman you despise and buy her a McMansion. It's cheaper than getting a divorce. So who are you looking for?
Brian O'Brien.
Sounds like an alias.
There's good reason to think he has a few. Because he burned up his draft card, I heard, and he used to date Angela Davis, and the Black Panthers wanted him dead, was the rumor.
You sure this guy actually exists?
I hope so.
Where was he last seen?
He made a phone call from Florida in the 80s.
Oh shit, that narrows things down a bit. And how old was he when he disappeared?
25 or so,
So he could very well be dead.
I guess.
And where'd he grow up?
In Scarsdale, New York, where I'm from.
You're from Scarsdale?
Yeah.
I'm from Great Neck, Long Island.
Hey, that makes sense with the accent.
What accent? Just fucking with you, Danny.
You know, I can't pay you anything, or not much.
Huh?
Playwriting's sort of like being a social worker, except instead of helping others, you just kind of help yourself. And even that's debatable. I could put you in this play I'm writing.
Well, like what, a cameo or something? I've always wanted to be in a movie.
It's a play. It might be a play, one day.
So who's this guy to you anyway?
I think he might be my dad. Is that crazy?
No, it's pretty common, actually. I assume you've asked people in your family?
I don't have a family.
Well, like everybody's dead?
Well, they are to me.
Another thing to consider is how people like you often assume their uncle or father, whomever, is just sitting around waiting to be found, when in actuality you find them and they're not happy to be found at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So what I'll need from you is your uncle's middle name and a DOB.
I don't know either.
Christ.
I'm still waiting for Adam to get back to me.
Where does that leave us now?
Awake at night Googling Brian O'Brien plus different states, different jobs.
Brian O'Brien plus construction worker. Brian O'Brien plus plumber.
Have I told you a famous author once held my hand in the darkness of his studio in London and said,
You have such beautiful hands. I don't mean to say your hands are womanly. These hands make things.
Brian O'Brien, ceramist, Brian O'Brien, minor dramatist, Brian O'Brien, homeless suicide.
Brian O'Brien like a snake devouring its own tail.
I send letters to everyone I find named Brian O'Brien in Florida and New York, because why not? Then branching out to the other 48, then Ireland, because I've long suspected.
But what happens when you find him and he tells you, I'm not your father? How sad you think so.
He might say that. He might say that and be lying to me. If he's a liar or crazy, it won't matter, because at least it'll be something I can write about.
What if he wants money?
What money?
Well, it will only bring you new problems, you know that?
I'd like some new problems, wouldn't you? Some stories do have endings. Some people get an answer.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Aunt Gwendolyn.
Who's this, please?
I told her what I'd been up to these last 16 years. We discussed the weather, of course, here in sunny LA. Do you still live in Connecticut?
Oh, yes, not dead yet. So what's this I'm hearing about you writing a book?
I explained. It's a play.
I see, I never saw that.
Okay.
Well, your mother never complained to me.
Oh, no?
Now tell me why you won't speak to your parents.
They won't speak to me, actually. They kept saying I looked like my father's younger brother, Brian O'Brien, because I'd grown a beard and my hair was long.
Well, they didn't like that beard, I guess.
No, I guess not. But there were other things that made no sense. Which, of course, got me remembering how they sued all of you.
You know what? That was so long ago and upsetting that we don't talk about it.
And I'm grateful you haven't hung up on me.
I'm happy to help you out here, Danny. All I know is that your mother really loved children. Well, she certainly seemed to.
She seemed to resent us, mostly.
Why would you have six kids then?
Well, that's my question, too.
With you, Danny, she thought you'd become a famous novelist or somebody.
She'd tell me I'd be a writer when I grew up, but then she'd tell me not to write about her or the family. And then the way she'd said it kind of sounded like she wanted me to write about us anyway.
Well, she had a very peculiar sense of humor, didn't she?
Did she? Does she?
I think so.
What was it like growing up in that mansion, Aldridge?
Well, I guess you mean how our brother went schizophrenic and our mother became an alcoholic.
Sure. Yes.
Well,
Was there any other kind of abuse?
no.
Okay.
Hold on a second, Danny.
You got it.
That was your Uncle Dickie. He's insisting on shoveling the driveway all by himself.
Oh, no.
Remember when he'd take you out all fishing on the Sound?
No.
Why don't you write about the happy times instead?
Ha!
How old are you now?
36. No, sorry, 37.
Don't you think it's time you got over this? You're not getting any younger, you know. I had all 5 of my children before I was 26.
Maybe I won't have any children.
Maybe you can't have children because you haven't grown up. Ever thought of that?
Of course.
Now, you should know that your mother got in touch with me a few years ago.
Really?
We send each other Christmas and birthday cards.
And you just never bring up what happened with the lawsuits?
No, we don't talk about any of that.
Otherwise, it'd be hard to chat, right?
And I've got to say, I don't understand any of this. When your mom and I spoke last time, she sounded so happy.
Happy?
She barely mentions you at all, Danny. Does she know you're writing a tell-all novel about them?
It's a fucking play.
I beg your...
It's a play for a theater with actors and lights and sets and props, and it's not a goddamn fucking novel.
Well,
Excuse me.
there's no need to be profane.
I know, you're right. I'm sorry.
Because, you know, I've always been a great benefactor of the arts.
Oh, yeah? Which ones?
Did you know it's your mother's birthday in a few days?
Oh, is it?
Why don't you pick up the phone like you picked up the phone to call me, which took some courage, I can tell, and you say, Mother, I've been writing a goddamn play about all our deep, dark family secrets, and I'd like to hear your side of things. See what she says.
I've thought about doing that, but I don't think I'd be able to stand the abuse.
How do you know it'd be abusive?
When I say abuse, I mean denial. I should have said she does get in touch with me. I can see she visits my website a lot, sometimes a few times a day, and she sends me emails every few months with pictures of foliage and platitudes about the importance of family, or news about car accidents she's had, so call, or about relatives I've never met sick with cancer, so please call, or about the anniversary of 9/11 or the Challenger disaster, so please call home. We're waiting for you to come back, she says, with nothing to say about everything that's happened, like how they didn't come to our wedding.
Well, they did come to your wedding, though, right?
No.
They didn't?
No.
Your mother said they did. She said you got married in New Hampshire.
Right.
And they drove up there, and it was this beautiful outdoor wedding, and how your wife's a Hollywood actress, and all the TV shows she's on. You're sure your mother wasn't there?
I mean, unless she was hiding in a tree somewhere.
Well, why would she lie to me?
Why don't you ask her?
Well, I don't know if I can help you with anything else, Danny.
It's been helpful to hear you say I don't know.
Happy writing.
Bye.
Well, you can't really blame her, can you? She doesn't know you.
She doesn't trust
Why
me.
should she? She doesn't know what you're writing. It's almost unconscionable to even hint at the possibility of incest in your mother's family, as compelling as you may find that.
It's pretty common, actually.
And you don't want to offend everybody who's been kind enough to talk to you.
But nobody's going to care about these people if I don't reveal their faults.
Are you revealing enough of your own faults?
Like which faults, Dan?
What about your marriage?
I'm not going to write about my...
Look, all I need is my husband to not say it feels awful hugging you.
I did not say that.
I can picture it, Dan.
The meaning of that we've discussed 1,000 times.
I am behaving like a normal person.
But you know you're not a normal person, right?
What?
Because you have way too much anxiety.
I do?
Yes, you know this. And just like my anxiety manifests itself as obsessions on the nature of time and mortality and germs and belly fat and my career, and when we fight, these thoughts of suicide come rushing in. And not realistic thoughts like I'm planning to. I'm not planning to off myself, but I get these images of what it might look like. Well, just like that, when you get anxious, you tend to explode at me.
I was hoping to be helpful tonight, Dan, honestly.
The point is that it's too much pressure for you.
Well, I don't feel that stressed about your family.
What's different about tonight, then? What's different is that I spoke to someone I haven't heard from in like 2 decades, someone who sounded alarmingly like my mother, that same voice, that same spooky denial, and that has got to be unsettling.
To me?
To anyone. And you're freaked out, and that's why I said I wanted to go out alone tonight, because I seem to have 2 choices. One is I can struggle to keep my distance and be your therapist.
I don't want that.
Which can come across as condescending and cold.
Yes.
Or instead, I engage you and start screaming.
Well, I didn't want you to scream at me like that.
But you started it.
I went into my room.
It was my room too.
Yeah, but I had to get away from you.
You slammed the door to say fuck you to me.
No, I never said fuck you to you.
You did. You didn't say it literally, but you said...
And you came into the room screaming.
I did not scream. I am very cognizant of not raising my voice at you. Listen to me.
In this crazy
Shut
voice,
up.
You were screaming, shut the fuck up. You're the one I found standing in the kitchen, stabbing the cutting board with our most expensive wedding knives.
And I'm sorry about
Well,
that.
and I'm telling you now, and we can talk about this tomorrow, but I don't feel like I'm the one with the problem here. I feel like I am managing my anxiety. Thank you very much.
Do you really think if you hadn't lost your temper at me first, that I wouldn't have gotten met.
You know what I truly think, Dan? I think that if you feel like somebody is telling you that something's your fault, that any of this could possibly be your fault, it hurts you to your core.
It doesn't.
And I don't know if it's your parents' fault because they abused you emotionally. I don't know if it's just because you have unresolved issues with women because your mother collapsed in your arms when she came home from the hospital after your brother tried to kill himself and said, nobody must know. And I don't know if you're digging up all this shit and talking to psychics and freaky ants because you can't accept what I know is hard to accept, which is that your father is your father and he's an unredeemable person and your mother's just as bad and they're not ever gonna love you. And your uncle is just your uncle. Newsflash, your uncle is just some guy. And when I tell you that I'm angry at you, you act like I'm part of the same fucking family.
Stop crying.
I can't.
I'm sorry.
I have a marriage that isn't working.
We know the reason for that, don't we?
Do we?
Don't we?
No, babe, let's put an end to this. Why don't you go see a movie? Are you crying? Why are you crying?
I'm not.
I'm going to go to bed.
Hi, is this Brenda?
It's the end of the afternoon here in London, so I'm a bit peckish. I could use a cup of tea, honestly.
It's a testament to how much I wanted to talk to you that I'd get up this early.
What I do is just open myself up to spirit and see where that leads us.
Sounds great.
Shall we? Basically, what I need from you, dear, is yes or no.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Hold on, please. Is your father in the spirit world, dear?
My father?
Yes or no, please?
I don't know.
It's just that I've got this gentleman here from father's line.
Patrick.
Sorry?
Patrick's my grandfather's name. I just remember something important.
Yes or no, Dan? Please.
Okay, what was the question again?
Forgive me for asking, but I can't remember if L.A. is near the coast.
Yes, L.A. is near the coast.
Well, I can't be certain if all this water I'm seeing is for you or for your father.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you feel okay, Brenda?
Have there been many storms where you are?
No, the rest of the country's having some snow, I think.
Because what I'm seeing is like this hurricane with a broken palm tree. I don't know what to make of this, dear. Really.
Brenda,
Is Mum still incarnate, please?
yes.
And does she live far away from you, or are you living far away from her?
I live far away from her.
That's what I thought. I have to say, your mother's a very lonely lady.
Yes, she is. It's her birthday today.
Is she ill?
My mother? Not that I know.
It could be mental. Like she's locked herself away in a prison.
Yes.
There's something quite closed about your mom, and I don't think I can open that up. Oh.
Brenda, are you still there?
You know what, dear? This isn't working. It's meant to just flow, but instead I keep running into these dead ends.
Oh, no. Really?
We'll call this an aborted reading. I'll tear up the check when it arrives. Money doesn't figure in my life at all. Not at all.
But should I believe some of the things you did say?
Oh, yes, do believe everything I've said.
Because I want to make sure I'm right to think I don't know who my true father is.
Yes.
My true father.
No.
And he lives in Florida. Would that be fair to say,
I'm
Brenda?
seeing a broken palm tree. That's all I can tell you.
That's good.
Mickey.
What?
Your father's father, this gentleman who's been waiting here all this time, just said the name Mickey quite clearly in my ear. They'll do that sometimes at the very last moment. Does the name Mickey mean something to you?
I don't know. Maybe.
All right then. God bless, love. Bye.
Bye.
It's like even the spirit world won't talk to you anymore.
It's only a dream, a wish.
About Brian, your secrets follow you underground.
I thought she said a few things that made a lot of sense.
Like?
Dear Adam, you've probably forgotten all about me, but I discovered some information we might find useful. My grandfather's name was Patrick, which also happens to be Brian's middle name. I've just remembered. And I can't really tell you how I know, but my uncle's definitely somewhere in Florida.
Dear Dan, I was wondering what happened to you. Give me half an hour to dig some shit up. Hey, it was easy tracking him down. You sure you've been looking for this guy? He's in West Palm Beach.
Just like everyone said he was.
He's a Scorpio, if you're curious. His high school yearbook's online with a senior portrait.
Long hair, glasses, a wisp of a
And
mustache.
a quote from the Swiss philosopher aphorist Henri Amiel: "Moral indifference is the malady of the cultivated class."
That definitely sounds like him.
I'll send the bill for my cameo. I can't wait to see this movie.
I see Brian's house on Google Street View at the very end of a dead-end street, only 4 blocks from the Atlantic, just like I live 20 blocks from the Pacific. Wikipedia says the median income of West Palm Beach is maybe $30,000, which I earn in a good year. There's a black guy riding a kid's bike in front of a peeling fence like balustrade, festooned with kudzu, twin lions, or maybe gargoyles crouching on plinths on either side of an empty driveway, scattered nylon lawn chairs, garbage cans toppled in front of the garage, blinds drawn, an empty garden trellis looming over a concrete stoop. Front door is obscured by a battered palm tree.
So great. We're going to fast forward a little bit. I kind of hunted down Brian, and he wrote back to me. So maybe I'll read the email where he wrote back to me. Right here?
Sure.
Thanks for the invite to the dance, Dano.
He emails, all caps, as if shouting across the chasm of 3 decades, or like a telegraph from an insane asylum.
I'm happy to see you made it past the age of 3 and done so splendidly. I always believed your talent for comic self-destruction had something to do with some boisterous joy and fearlessness that had you going down the wrong way on the stairs. Ha, ha, ha. Bummed to hear all this sturm and drang and bullshit with your parents, but it's a recurring theme in this family going way back past your grandfather. Nuff said. Chug and go, Nancy Nettles, my wife. Knew who you were from that picture on your website. Your hands are definitely O'Brien hands. Thank God Nancy didn't have that baldness gene, because it wouldn't have worked for a haunted Irish playwright. I had a handle on the O'Brien clan long time ago. It's an ontological argument based on the born with it Irish gene pool, throwing a little totem and taboo, and you're in the primordial Irish ooze, baby. Bluntly speaking, your father is an asshole for letting this happen to you and your family. With certainty, he let this happen. I gave you a gift that morning, it's true, but not a Bible. It was a Cookie Monster doll. I am the Cookie Monster. No myth. I am who you perceive me to be, Dan. Anyhow, I'm off to get the dwarfs to work. I march to the beat of my own drum. Ha, ha, ha. Time is on my side. I've got loads of it. So why don't we rattle a few bones when you come for a visit? We're the Irish. It's always a good idea to begin with envy. So, all caps. All caps. If you're wondering why I screamed that entire thing. One more scene. Scene 9, it's called Slit the Fences.
First, let me just say how crazy this feels to be finally sitting here with you, Brian, after all these years, well, with the broken palm tree out front.
Oh, I've been meaning to get that fixed.
I remember your face. Your face hasn't changed.
Seriously, Dan? It's crazy, because I'm 60 and you're what, 37?
Exactly.
You look like you could use a drink. All I got is some skunked Budweiser.
That'll do.
Mind if I smoke?
And thanks for letting me drop by like this on such short notice.
Hey, Dano, listen, I've been hiding in plain sight all my life. Because this might sound strange to you. Be careful. It's all shook up. L'chaim. But for a good percentage of my life, I was vice president of the largest interior construction company in the U.S.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We did Marriott's, United Artists Theaters. I've spent my entire adult life bouncing all over the country to jobs in Chicago, California, Texas.
San Marcos?
Saying, who's this?
That doesn't matter.
Our HQ was down on Hudson Street, so I was in New York, NYC like once a month for years. But I'll tell you what, I never set foot in Scarsdale since the day I said goodbye to you. And I did say goodbye to you. I'm sure of that. I don't know why you remember giving me that Bible?
I don't know either.
I don't give no shits about Bibles, man. Christ was right on dude if he actually existed. I mean,
So why did you just disappear? Why didn't you ever visit again?
Well, I remember the last time I saw your parents, I said to myself, it's high time I hit the road. It's like in the Yiddish, keep your service in your own backyard. Because it was real clear these two had enough service of their own. Get me?
All we ever heard about you were like these legends.
Guilty as charged, man. Guilty as charged.
So they're all true?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. We slit the fences in Newport.
You slit the, sorry?
Slit the fences, man.
Oh, nice.
And it's like this really weird thing because it's called the Newport Jazz Festival.
Of course.
Yeah, but there was never any jazz. There was Janis Joplin, Jethro Tull.
I love Aqualung.
Yeah, but we didn't have any tickets, you get me? But what we did have was a pair of Bill Schlitz's post cutters. Just slit the fences.
Who's Bill Schlitz?
Oh, no, poor son of a bitch is dead.
I'm sorry.
He was old SDS muscle, you get me?
Not really.
And Abby Hoffman was just this kid who didn't get enough bar mitzvah cash. But Bill Schlitz, here was a man who liked his pills with girls, okay? A potentially lethal combination, brother. Want another beer there, boyo?
Please.
Heads up.
Did you date Angela Davis? That was another rumor.
Shit, Sherlock, where'd you hear that one?
My mother.
How is Nancy, by the way, still telling lies?
As far as I can tell.
Well, in this instance, she was being straight with you, Danny. I rolled with Bobby Seale, Angie, Eldridge Cleaver. This ain't no joke. I mean, Bobby Seale was one stone-cold mofo, see? Not that the FBI's any better. They go after you, man, you're toast. Steer clear of the legal system in this country. That's my personal philosophy, that and slit the fences. Don't look back.
So I guess that's why I'm here.
You got to understand, Danny, about your family. Everything goes back to my childhood.
Your childhood?
Because essentially, I should have never been born.
Are you?
Yeah, no, sorry, it's just it's just a smoker's cough. Because as his late-in-life baby, a.k.a. the mistake, a.k.a. the gift from God, nobody was going to pay any attention to the little turd. But I was sure as shit going to pay attention to them. You get me?
So what you're saying...
Because the greatest gift my family ever gave me was the gift of listening. I thank them every day.
But...
They taught me how to listen, to see what's really going on all around me. And for me, the answer to your question, what happened to my family, is simply, it's your father. It's your father.
I know.
It wasn't our parents' fault.
It wasn't?
No, it wasn't our parents' fault.
But wasn't your mom an alcoholic?
Truthfully, Dan, sure she was. Sure she was. Was it bad when your father was a kid? Yes and no. Was it something when I was growing up, per se? You betcha. Did she drink like hell after my father died in the middle of the night, which was a real ball buster, by the way? You bet your white ass she did. Why'd she stop? Hey, Gertie, you get dried out for a reason? You go to AA? Nope. She couldn't even be a normal drunk. Go to rehab 17 times. Get me? Screw up like the rest of us. Somebody's just staying away from the liquor store all of a sudden, but she was like me. A real odd duck.
So if it's not your parents' fault, why do you think my father is...
Stradone in County Cavan, by the way. That's where your grandmother's family's from. And remember, these people are shanty Irish. You know what I mean by shanty Irish, right? Because Stradone's a fork in the road. The gene pool is like a skid mark. Okay, they could have used some more raping Norsemen in that town. Pass me my water, will you?
Here.
Thank you. That's better. But see, it's the O'Brien branch of the family you got to watch out for with all that racist Kings Point, Brooklyn, Bronx, rum runners, priests, nuns, gangsters, anything to make a buck, you know. You get your smokes, boyo, you get your smokes. Very mean sons of bitches, secretive, paranoid. Like your father, actually.
So my father's problem is that he's Irish?
If you asked Harold, where's the Abbey Theater? He'd go, huh? I happen to think that's a problem. Harold, W.B. Yeats. Who? Then he goes to fucking Scarsdale High, where he's outclassed by rich kids like Liza Minnelli and children whose fathers are Leonard Bernstein and Mr. IBM, Watson. And your mother's father, too, and that Durst guy, that transvestite killer. Real captains of industry, dude. But you want to know the truth? Of course you do. If you could pry it out of Harold with like a crowbar and a nuclear bomb, your dad wanted to be a writer.
You're kidding.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
And Beowulf, he loved Beowulf. Because it's true, he could be extremely sensitive. You had to be extremely careful around Harold because you could offend him quite easily because his perceptual screens were all screwed up.
Yes.
Yeah, but we Irish are not the most careful of people.
No.
No, we're the kings of flying non sequiturs. We say stuff off the cuff we don't mean to hurt, by and large, but when we do mean to hurt, we blow up a bunch of kids in Oma.
Right.
But when all's said and done, I'll admit, Harold was exceedingly kind to me.
What?
Oh, yeah. I happen to think your dad's a great guy.
I don't understand.
Oddly enough, considering the fucking lunatic he's become.
But what happened? Something must have happened. Like somebody betrayed my father?
Oh, he fell in love.
Huh?
He fell in love. He fell in love. Here's a story I'm sure they never told you. Danny, your pimply teenage mom and pops were not going to their senior prom, but then our big brother Jimmy took pity on Harold and set him up with his friend Alana's fucked up kid sister Nancy, your mother. And at like 5 to 12, the witching hour, everybody's running around searching for a tuxedo for your father and a dress for your mom to wear. Well, the deal got sealed that night. You get me? Because it was love at first sight.
It's just hard to imagine them that way.
Oh, seriously, Danny? Love is not an adequate word. Obsession. More like it, like two rabid rabbits.
Gross.
And Mama Gertrude, smart bag that she was, she knew exactly what was happening. This was it. I know for a fact, she said, Harold, keep it in your jockeys, or, words to that effect, because this thing was too quick. And we all felt that way. But your mother was one mean breeding machine.
Is that why they eloped? Because my mom got pregnant by accident?
All I can tell you, Danny, is that your father's always been secretive. And so is your mother. So is your mother. But this was true love. And when people fall in love, they do dumb things like get married.
Did my mother's father buy the house we grew up in?
No. You genius! You figured that all out on your own?
Right. I know. I should have known.
Look, Danny, I'm being sarcastic here. Sometimes the hardest things to figure out is what's staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
Things that have to do with who you are.
Yeah.
You're a real perceptive guy, I can tell.
So are you.
We're not dissimilar. Both of us have empathy. It's why I work in construction and not psychiatry. Because my dream was to shrink people, but feelings can be a liability in that field.
Sure.
And your parents wouldn't know empathy if it hit them in the face like a brick.
That's true.
And the love gene's unfortunately been twisted up a bit too tightly in the what's in it for me gene. Your parents are basically psychopaths. By the way. Oh, by the way, your parents are basically psychopaths. And you must never forget what a true psychopath is. They rarely kill with bullets. They rarely slit your throat. They deprive. They shame. They tear your heart out of your chest, look at it, and stick it back in the wrong way. They do everything but pull the trigger. You know why? They're too scared to lose you.
Well, they lost me now.
Have they?
Growing up, I always felt like Harold hated me, but I never understood why. I used to think it was because I like joking around. I like people sometimes, and he found that strange.
Well, he didn't find it strange, Danny. He was envious of you. That's what he wanted to do, who he wants to be. He doesn't know you at all. He doesn't have a fucking clue who you really are.
The last time we spoke, he did seem jealous.
Well, because you've done something with your life. I was telling Chug and Go last night, if this kid came from my pecker...
He told me I look like you.
Oh, yeah, right.
The hair, the beard.
Oh, you never understood any of that.
He kept shouting at me, there are things you do not know. There are things you do not know.
You kind of had a point there, don't you think?
You tell me. Do you have kids, Brian?
Nope. Never did. But I got about a dozen of them. That's the way to do it, man. You want the truth? Of course you do. That's why you're here. Look, no, I never had any kids, but over the years we've adopted some here and there, unofficially lost boys and girls who stayed with us, but no, much to my chagrin, the whole kid thing never happened. I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
But I'm like this weird kind of drinker. Like, say you got a test or a party, but you can't do either without taking a few bouts. What am I? Alcoholic. It's not quantity, it's the compulsion behind it. You get me?
Sure.
So you sure? You sure? You should be careful because it's in your blood, the disease.
Yeah, I know.
And Chug and Go saved my life. She likes to tell me, Mickey, you never met a bottle of Bushmills you couldn't drain dry.
She calls you Mickey?
Oh, yeah, Mickey. My father called me Mickey all the time. Nobody calls him Brian. He looks surprised.
I am surprised, I guess.
You wrote me out a question for me, something that was more important than the other questions about me.
Right.
Hit me. Something wrong?
I think you answered everything.
Did I?
Yeah, no. Everything makes sense now.
Well, hey, sounds like you're pulling something off with your life. Had a few knocks and you're trying to make sense of it all, and that's cool, brother, cool. That's what you got to do, man. I'm not good at kissing ass, and believe it or not, some people don't care for me much. They're like, God damn it, who, Mickey, Mick, that old fucker? Listen, boom, man, you can bat for my team anytime. You need a glass of water?
Please.
The thing you must always keep in mind is that it's always about what they did to themselves. When you got a mess of kids, get me, who are completely innocent, get me, that you got a chance to give to, and then you go and give it your best shot to screw them over? Well, I don't know what you call that. Here, drink this.
Thank you.
And they'll never say sorry. They'll never apologize.
I know.
And I'm sorry about that, Danny. Really, I am. But the way I see it is you can see life as some kind of sorrowful negative, like, oh, poor me, and why do they have to do this to me? Or you go, you know what? That wasn't easy, but I got something out of it. Because I think about the good and the bad I've encountered in my life. I did all this to me. It's mine, baby. I own this pain.
Right.
You went to college. You got to grow up in a goddamn Scarsdale, New York. You got to spend your entire life scribbling poems and plays, and you're still breathing. Which may sound obvious, but it's not really when you're as old as me, the same age when my father died. And also my pecker don't work that well. I got glaucoma in this eye, see? And, but as my second mom, Esther Weiss, used to say, it's a mitzvah. They had you at all.
Sure.
But they never should have gotten married.
No.
They never should have had children.
No.
And lucky for us, they did. So you'll be staying for dinner, right?
I can't.
But Big Mama's on her way home.
I know, but my flight leaves in a few hours.
Why don't you just crash on our floor tonight? We got a futon in the garage.
It's been great meeting you as an adult.
Oh. Okay, that's cool, man.
I can't thank you enough, Brian.
Mickey. I hate Brian.
Okay, Mickey.
You're free, Daddy. Get out of here.
Right.
Everything you've heard about me is true. All the myths are true, mostly. What's that old line? It never gained on me, baby. It's always been the wind blowing up my crack and all that other Irish horse shit. But hey, listen, I got lucky, okay? You want the truth, Danny? Of course you do. I got lucky the moment I walked out that door. You get me?
Yeah.
Have a safe flight back to Hollyweird, man.
I'm going to Ireland, actually.
Huh?
With my brother Paul. We're meeting up tomorrow morning in Dublin, renting a car and driving all over the country, getting in touch with our roots.
Well, raise a glass to your Uncle Mick in the homeland then, baby. Last scene. 10. Go away with you.
You want me to do the original way or the
No, the new
second?
way.
The new way, okay.
This is so real. It's just happening right
yeah,
now. Okay. Scene 10. Go away with you. Landing the next morning with my brother, or my twin, as I've long imagined him, he's lost.
So you pretend you're not.
And drive into the west.
Where you'd been an artist of promise 15 years ago, traveling through a dream then, too.
But today we ride rented bikes in Inishmore.
Breathing in the circus smell of cow dung in the midst of waves of cycling German teen tourists screaming up your ass.
And I'm watching as my depressive brother edges towards the cliff.
As he peers over a pounding surf.
I'm wondering,
Will he jump?
Then laughing, we take a selfie in the grass beside a doll's house, incongruously rotting in the sea salt mist.
You didn't ask him.
Why couldn't I ask my Uncle Brian the answer to my question?
In Galway, we drink into the night with an old friend who tells you of his divorce, the daughter he rarely sees.
Who says,
I remember you as you were then, Dan. You had the sense of a young man with so many secrets inside himself. And I see I was right about that.
drunkenly I cry, we're all being used by the spirit of the truth that's destroying us.
Go away with you.
He laughs down an alleyway.
Go away with the two of yous, you wandering brothers, you twin apostates.
Go away with all secrets and shame and lies and guilt.
Farewell.
Farewell.
Farewell, farewell, farewell.
Hungover next morning over a breakfast of beans and eggs, toast, rashers, white sausage, and blood sausage too. Your brother tells you, last night I had a dream. I was back in the house we grew up in, and everybody saw your name on the TV screen, and I begged our mother, why can't you apologize to him? Sundry sightseeing excursions ensue, more stout and sausage, turf and coal fire, and this unseasonable sun. I don't deserve this, my brother says. Driving through canary gorse and sparkling bog, this place speaks to me. Speaks to me. I say we're free of who we were born to be, and he feels sick, he feels ill, he feels certain he'll die too soon. So I lie and say happiness means we're all dying too soon. Take a nap and then a shower and a boat ride out to Skellig Michael. My brother and I on this blue noxious cloud with the ancient skipper Joe Roddy and more Dutch tourists beneath the observant yoke-faced gannets, past Skellig, little Skellig, that stark cathedral of gossiping gulls on guano-stained cliffs, and farther still to the triangle skull of Skellig Michael, where 7th century monks carved out these hundreds of time-worn steps to an island top of stone huts like tombs or hives or ovens in the burning light. Each stride we take another burning stripe of penance. I'm sorry. He asks me, why can't you be the one to apologize? Even if you don't mean it. We lie down to rest on this slanted strand of lichen-spotted limestone, and the seabirds circling above our faces, and the proud, senseless sea. End of play. I just want to say what. I just want to say that I've been joking that the subtitle of this play should be TMI, Too Much Information. So I apologize for throwing that at you. But thank you. It's such a joy to be able to read here every year and to hear a new play. And thank you so much. Thanks.
Awesome, man. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Good treat.